I love to see the towns passing by and to ride these rails neath God's blue sky. Let me travel this land from the mountains to the sea, 'cause that's the life I believe He meant for me. And when I'm gone and at my grave you stand, say God called home your rambling man.
Welcome to Ramblin' Man Podcast, episode number 39. This one is with Robby Bowman. He's a blacksmith in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, but he was also on the TV show Forged in Fire. Very fortunate my friend Virginia Adams connected us together. It was a good talk. It's interesting hearing some of the behind the scenes on Forged in Fire and how they, well, I won't spoil it. Listen to the episode. If you'd like to follow Robby online, go to his business's website at ironmountainmetalcraft.com, or you can find them on Facebook at Iron Mountain Metal Craft. He's got a big event coming up this fall. Be sure to keep up with him to find out more information. Our sponsor this week, again, is Feral Giant. Feral Giant is a graphic design, illustration, and social media company. They do work for clients large and small, from a singer-songwriter to a large multinational corporation. If you'd like to find more information out about Feral Giant, visit feralgiant.com or at Feral Giant on any of the social media channels. Without much further ado, here's our talk with Robby. Are you originally from here?
Yeah, I was born and raised in East Tennessee is what I call home.
Okay. And so metalworking, was it something in the family, or how did you get into metalworking?
Yeah, my metalworking has, I reckon, been in my blood. My grandfather, he was an actual blacksmith. He would take and make shovels, rakes, work for the farmers. He did all blacksmithing, and my dad never did go that route, but my dad was an iron worker and a welder.
Okay.
So, I'm third generation manipulating metal. But, growing up, my grandfather, I concentrate more on making knives now. But my grandfather never made a lot of them, but I started working with him when I was like 5 or 6 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay. So there was no other path. This was the path.
Yeah, the working metal was my path all along, but I might not have realized it younger.
Yeah.
When you're young.
Yeah.
And because I actually served in the military, in the Army, back in the early 80s. And I got out of the military, and I wasn't rightly sure what to do. And I was basically a diesel mechanic.
Okay.
Or an auto mechanic.
Yeah.
And doing that most of my life.
Yeah.
And I'm also a big hunter, and I was out west one time on a hunting trip, and I had a bad injury. It was a knife wound in my arm.
Okay.
And it severed everything in my arm.
Oh, God.
And for me to rehabilitate myself,
yeah,
I started making knives again.
Okay.
Because I had the equipment, the anvil, the forges, the hammers, the tongs. So I went downstairs and set it all up, and I started making knives again. And started selling them, different stores and different people, flea markets, gun shows.
Yeah.
And it grew.
Okay.
People were loving the artistic side of making knives, and the individual who would get a custom knife that was one of a kind.
Yeah.
And people were drawn to that. Yeah. And I just kept doing it, and I started buying more equipment with the money I made, and more equipment with the money I made, and the next thing I knew, I had a full-blown business doing ornamental blacksmithing and knife making.
So when you started with the after the injury, about what year was that? How long ago was that?
We're looking about, let's see, it's about 17, 18 years ago, maybe 19 years ago.
Okay, so early 2000s. Okay.
Yeah, early 2000. is when I had the very serious injury and had several surgeries just to try to keep my arm.
Okay. And then I'm going to meander around. So in being around here, you've seen a lot of changes to the area. Like this area, I remember growing up, like Gatlinburg was all like, all handmade stuff. It felt like when I was a kid. And it's just kind of grown and grown and grown. Same thing with Pigeon Forge here.
Right.
Yeah.
Pigeon Forge, will change dramatically.
Yeah.
Every 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And Gatlinburg too. I know a gentleman that lives way up in the mountain in Gatlinburg, and he doesn't like coming to town now.
Yeah.
Because his whole family was been in the Gatlinburg area for hundreds of years.
Okay.
And in his own words, him describing the town of Gatlinburg now, it's commercialized.
Yeah.
There's not hardly any more wagon wheel makers or silversmiths or blacksmiths.
Yeah.
It's all being, taken away. And it's all, in his own words, it's too Christmassy. These
I can see that's dead on.
Yeah, these old timers, they're just short and sweet. I mean, he said it's too Christmassy. It wasn't supposed to be like that.
Yeah. There's a place over in North Carolina, Blowing Rock, right outside of Boone, that I went to a few years ago, and I was like, this is probably what it was like in like the 60s. Like it was just small mom and pop shops all the way down the road. I was like, that's what Gatlinburg was like back in the day. I've seen aerial photos and stuff, and it looks crazy. You see trees, trees on the road.
Yeah.
But in that time, so you started doing that in the early 2000s. At what point were you able to expand to your own shop like this?
From my home in my basement, doing work. I actually went to Smoky Mountain Knife Works.
Oh, okay.
The largest knife store in the United States.
Yeah.
And they've got a little brick building in their parking lot.
Okay.
And they leased me that building. It was small, but it was where I started working with the public.
Okay.
And because I want to give everybody an experience.
Yeah.
Not just buy a knife, but have an experience. And I let people come in my shop and make a knife with me while they're there.
Okay.
And it was something they could keep.
Yeah.
And take on. And I started in that building, and in a short time, like 6 months, I was already busting out of the seams and needed something bigger and larger.
Yeah. And was that hard, with how this area grows and expands and changes, was that hard to find a spot, or was there spots to be found?
Actually, the spots are really hard to find, do what I do.
Right.
And the landowner who owns all this property here in the old Forge Plaza, is he's actually one of the last men in his family to still own a lot of land in this town. This is considered still historic.
Okay.
The historical buildings and stuff that was here. Yeah. This is one of the last areas in this town that has a lot of historic value. And he came to me one day, and he said he would love for a blacksmithing to be back in Pigeon Forge, and he asked me if he built me a new place, if I would shut my building down there and move here.
Yeah.
And I said yes.
Oh, wow. How long ago was that?
That was about 10 years ago when he said he would like to do this. Yeah. But then there was a lot of hurdles to get over to be able to do this in this town.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because it feels like this town was built on people who do stuff like that, and then it's circling back around and be like, okay, no, we're going to do this again. So you have to get used to it, but it's almost like, how do we make that happen? If that makes sense.
Yeah. What made all these towns famous early on was, the crafters. Yeah. You had the wagon wheel makers, the wagon builders. You had the blacksmiths, the silversmiths. You had leathersmiths. I mean, it was a lot of hands-on. In this town, it's called Pigeon Forge for a reason. Yeah. There was a huge forge here, a foundry. Yeah. Where they would actually make the metal and forge the metal, and that's what made the town famous. And when it started becoming commercialized, a lot of that went away. And now a lot of the property owners and businesses, even in town, realize what made this town famous to start with.
Okay.
And they're trying to steer back in that direction again.
Okay. On the history, the historic element of this area. Yeah. The poor joke is there's only so many spray painted T-shirts you can get in Pigeonport.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Like that's a big thing in driving. So I think that was I noticed a lot as the past few times I've been. I noticed a lot's changed because that used to be a thing. Every other spot,
yes,
was something like that, and it was like, oh, okay, I guess that's we don't need like, can we get something else in there? Yeah. But now it seems like there's a lot more good restaurants here. Like back in the day, it was like you go to Cracker Barrel, you go to Shoney's.
Right.
That's where you're at.
Right.
And it feels like in going back and embracing what it used to be, it feels like there's a lot more, and maybe that's just an outsider's perspective, but I see a lot more interesting things going on.
Yes, the trend is coming back. You know, the blacksmithing, we do got some silversmiths, a leathersmith now is back in here.
Okay.
So there's a lot coming back that actually made the town famous to start with. You know,
okay.
It's not so commercialized.
Okay. And doing, oh my God. Yeah, I'm looking now in the shop. They, so in doing that and getting back to that, and has it been hard keeping it, still personal? Because you said when you started in the little shop, it was about kind of dealing with the public.
Right.
Has it kind of been hard over the years as it's grown to continue that?
It has. It has grown tremendously, and it's all I can do to keep up with the demand.
Right.
When we designed this building, the number one thing I wanted to design was customer friendly.
Okay.
I want to be able for customers just to walk in and watch the blacksmiths at work, watch the bladesmiths at work, and more attention went to building this to be customer friendly so the customers get a great experience whether they're working with us or just watching.
Okay. And something, when you started growing, at what point did you always know you were going to have to maybe take on additional hands to help or to apprentice? Like apprenticeship has not been a thing for a long time. It feels like, or it's feel like it's kind of waned and kind of gone away.
Right.
So was there a point where you had to be like, okay, now I need to get some additional hands in here to get things done?
Right. I really wanted it just to grow. You know, and I just felt so good about it that I was ready to start. You know, I want to teach people.
Right.
I want to keep the craft alive.
Right.
And when I moved to this location, automatically within 30 days of being open, had to start hiring new help.
Okay.
Because people are drawn to this extremely. You know, you got a big fire and you're ringing them anvils, and it attracts a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so I started hiring help, and we train everybody.
Okay.
And we do apprenticeships. And our goal is to keep blacksmithing, bladesmithing alive in Pigeon Forge. And we concentrate every day on letting people participate and try to teach them and inspire them to do this.
Right. Inspire them. Now I'm trying to remember different questions in my head. Are there people that have moved on to do their own thing in another city or somewhere else that have learned under you?
Yes, sir. I have one man he was just walking by one day. His name is Joey Lynn.
Okay.
And he plays Santa Claus for Bass Pros and, you know, stuff like that down in South Carolina and Georgia and places.
Okay.
And he seen what we was doing. He said, I think I'd like to try that. And he made a railroad spike knife with me.
Okay.
And now he's a full-time bladesmith at his home in South Carolina. And now he teaches knife making to other students.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had the opportunity to be on that TV show, Forged in Fire.
Yeah.
And met a lot of great people there.
Yeah.
And actually one of the boys that I was on the show with, named Chad, he would like to do something like this.
Yeah.
And so I trained him on how to work with customers and get a great experience in
Right.
forging something. And come June 11th of this year, he is opening up a shop just like this on Mackinac Island.
Oh, wow.
In Michigan.
In Michigan. That's awesome.
Cool. And also, I met another man and husband and wife who were struggling in life.
Yeah.
Most Americans just say payday.
Yeah.
Me too, basically.
Yeah.
And they wanted to do this.
Yeah.
And last week in Branson, Missouri,
Yeah.
they opened up one just like this.
That's awesome. Before the show, were you corresponding or going and traveling and seeing different people who are doing this all over, or is it still kind of niche enough to where it's hard to find other people doing this?
No, it's a totally opposite.
Okay.
Every blacksmith or bladesmith in the United States are all willing and to help, teach.
Yeah.
And if you walk into another man's shop, 100 out of 100 times, they're going to show you what they're doing.
Yeah.
We do. That's like being on the TV show. You might see one of us struggling. It's a competition for 10,000, but you see one of us struggling, they'll stop what they're doing to help.
That's all. There's a shop down in Knoxville called Bird on the Wire Studio. My friend Derek is the one that runs it, and it's kind of the same thing. There are all these people. He comes from Birmingham, Alabama, and he was like, he's only been in Knoxville a few years, and he was like, there's nothing like it. Like the community and the people, and there's been all kinds of people who've come through him to learn. Like he does more like installations for like restaurants and stuff like that.
Right.
And but there's been so many people come through him that now have their own shop, or they're operating out his shop but doing their own thing. And he was like, no, this is the whole point. Yeah, it's paying it forward is to moving it. The ball.
It is us too. You know, being able to teach this to the young kids and let them participate. Let them take up a great big hammer and smack that metal real hard. I mean, it just you're naturally drawn to fire.
Yeah,
it's human instinct.
Yeah,
and to create something that the customers can come in and participate. In making.
Yeah,
they're going to have for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, it'll mean something more to them because they had a hand in it. They have a story behind it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so before the show, you were meeting people all over?
Yes, before the show, I would travel from time to time. Like I used to go out west, and I would stop at other shops and hang out with them guys and learn a little bit because they're all too happy to teach and learn.
Yeah.
And that's what's so good about this industry. We all want to help, but you never stop learning.
Yeah.
People are trying new techniques all the time, and some work and some don't. And we do it here, and we're all more than happy to help somebody else and show them what we're doing. Yeah.
There's one of my friends, John, he does knives too, more like restaurant knives or chef knives.
Right.
And he got the opportunity, he got a piece of meteorite. And made a knife out of meteorite, and he was like, I was nervous because it cost so much money.
Yeah.
He was scared. He was like, but I knew I could do it, and but it was nerve-wracking to do it.
Yeah, well, we've done meteorite too. There's a lot of bladesmiths out there who specialize in just meteorites.
Really? Okay.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
That's insane. That's crazy talk to me because it's like, okay, it was in space, and now, okay, no, I'm still can't wrap my head around that one.
Right.
Traveling around, meeting people. So what brought about going on to the show? Did they come to you, or did you apply to be on the show?
When the show first come about, they were calling a lot of famous bladesmiths.
Okay.
And, I'd heard about it, and I wasn't sure I'd even want to go on a show like that until I seen it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of us just held back until we seen what they was actually wanting us to do. The guys who went on the first season had no idea what they was getting into. Once the show aired, now we got an idea.
Yeah.
And so my hat's off to all them guys who bravely went in darkness and blindness to compete on national TV, not knowing what they was getting into. Took a lot of guts.
Yeah.
I know one smith in Texas, he called him Cowboy. They called him 5 times.
Oh, wow.
He turned them down 4 times.
Oh, my God. That's hilarious.
So the show has brought a lot of us together.
Yeah.
And it has brought new interest back to the public because now people understand what we do.
Yeah.
And they're more appreciative.
Yeah. There's, do you know Micro Dirty Jobs? He's went and tried to start like a national campaign to get kids to maybe not look at college and maybe look at things outside of college.
Right.
Like, a big thing for him is not equating it, but it's like plumbing and electrical work. And he was like, there's all these opportunities where it's on the flip side, it's kind of dying out or something, or it's not enough people are getting into it to meet the needs.
Right.
And I think something like this, he would be all over because he was like, no, this is something a kid, would totally be into. You know, you're coming out of school at 18.
Right.
This is something... And it's an art form so where they can also express some creativity.
Yeah, I've been doing this for so long. I've seen parents bring their kids, and I watched the kids grow up.
Yeah.
And, when you deal with the public, you don't never know, who you might inspire.
Right.
And about 12, 13, 14 years ago, there was a young man come into a shop with his parents. And his father and son made knives together.
Okay.
And, I don't know who they were. They're just customers, good customers. And evidently, after they left and went home, that son was about 10, 11, 12-year-old.
Yeah.
And he was a troubled little feller,
Yeah.
He was mean, put that way.
Yeah.
And he started asking his parents, I want a forge. I want this. I want that. And they said, no. You don't get nothing until you start bringing your grades up and, start doing your chores and all that. And I'm not knowing none of this.
Yeah.
And the kid turned around. He did 180 degree.
Yeah.
And started going the other direction because of his experience with me.
Yeah.
And it was about 6 or 7 years later, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed a man and woman out here watching for a long time. And then they motioned for me to come to them. And I walked over to them, and they said, we know you don't remember us, but, 10 years ago, you worked with our son and inspired him. And we worked with him, and he got his feet on the right track.
Yeah.
And we started working with him. He started manipulating metal like you do.
Yeah.
And when he graduated high school, he had his own business in building wood stoves.
Oh, my God.
And it all started right here with me. How cool is that?
Yeah. Yeah, because not to think of but you never know where that kid would have gone.
Right.
But now he's not on the straight and narrow, but like building wood stoves.
Building wood stoves when he
That's
graduated.
amazing.
His own company.
Yeah, at 18. Yeah, just move on down the line. Like, so when it comes to like meeting people from the show, there's always room for improvement. There's always room to learn.
Yes.
Is there any point that you all have thought about, like, not putting together like a book or something, but doing something like, here's a bunch of tips and tricks or stories we've learned over the years?
Right, yeah.
Book. I would be fascinated by a podcast of just hearing stories of metalworking over the years, because I'm sure everyone has a crazy story and a good story and a story like that about somebody they've influenced.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Have you all ever thought?
We're in talks right now on trying to write a book.
Yeah.
Because that's like growing up in a blacksmith shop. These things I seen as a young child, you don't see these days.
Yeah.
And it's still in my mind, and I want to share that with other people.
Oh yeah.
And my experiences growing up with manipulating metal and watching my grandfather take something somebody would throw away.
Yeah.
And make something usable you're gonna want to buy.
Yeah.
It's been really cool for me.
What's the weirdest thing you've taken and made it into a knife?
All right. When I was at Smoky Mountain Knife Works in that little brick building, I had a gentleman come to me. He wanted a knife, but the handle, he wanted the bone handle.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, I can do that. He said, good, here. He pulls out his hip bone. He had a new hip bone. He had a new hip replaced, and he brought me his hip bone.
Yeah.
How he got it from a doctor's, he said that was a struggle in his own. But now he wanted that hip bone to be the handles for his knife.
Oh, my God.
And I did it.
You did?
Let me tell you something else also. I do, like, on a metal that's not got a lot of carbon.
Yeah.
You can add carbon to the metal.
Okay.
Okay, and make it a better quality knife.
Okay.
And I used to tell folks, if you've ever had a family member cremated,
Yeah.
bring me a tablespoon
Oh, my God.
of them ashes.
Yeah.
And I'll let them hammer out a whole knife. And when it's 2,000 degrees,
Yeah.
I'll sprinkle them ashes
Yeah.
on both sides of that knife. Because, the human body's like 80% carbon,
Yeah.
And so we'll sprinkle that on that blade. And at 2,000 degrees, we put it back in the fire. And you'll watch that carbon, the human ashes, soak right in the blade.
Oh, wow.
And now when we're done, you've got a piece of your parents with you all the time, so long as you've got that knife.
Crazy.
I've done that here recently.
Oh, my God. Now, do people bristle when you say that? Like, are they taken aback a little bit, or?
They think it's cool.
Okay.
Yeah. They say, wow, I can have a piece of my father or my grandfather with me,
Yeah.
for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool thing. And we do it like a little ceremony during it. We shut down all the other equipment, and we concentrate just on that one knife.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to do.
Now, with it kind of being in your family and your grandfather and your father, I feel like growing up, it would a lot of things would be secondhand nature. Was there a point where you're like, okay, I need to learn more about like the carbon aspect, the science of it all, or if there's better practices or something to do?
Exactly, because this is changing all the time, and trying to keep up with the new techniques.
Yeah.
Like canister Damascus. I never done canister Damascus before. But when I got on the TV show, that's what I had to do.
What is canister Damascus?
That's where you take like a 2x2 square tubing, and you put all different metals in it. And then powder steel.
Okay.
And then weld it solid.
Yeah.
And then start forging it.
Oh,
you can
man.
use ball bearings, fish hooks, pieces of a chainsaw or motorcycle chain,
Oh, my God.
all in different materials. We'll make a knife out of it.
That's crazy. So the first time you did that and you finished it, were you like, I got to do this again?
Yes, yes. And this business is evolving all the time. Scientifically made metals, is really good for us. And it's changing all the time.
Okay. Is there... Oh, I thought I saw a dog. I was like, oh, there's a puppy. Is there, I see a lot of knives and axes. Is there anything, what is the biggest thing you've ever made?
I've made a few swords.
Okay.
Not a lot.
Okay.
When I was 13 years old, I remember my daddy making about 10 big swords.
Okay.
That he donated to a martial arts school.
Okay.
And I think that's the only thing I ever watched my daddy make was those swords. And they still got them to this day, and that's been 40 years ago.
Wow. That's awesome.
So I have made some pretty good sized swords, some hillbilly buoys, which are monstrous knives. I made a lot of cool stuff out of them.
Whenever you're doing anything like that, is there a nervousness before you're doing it, or you just like, you know what, I know what I'm doing, I'll figure it out, I'll get it done?
Yeah, I've got that attitude, I'll figure it out, I'll get it done. But even still, metal sometimes might have a mind of its own. Yeah. Right there in the middle of your heat treat, the blade warp. Yeah. And you don't know why. Yeah. And you scratch your head, or it has a crack in it. Yeah. And you think, well, where did I go wrong? Yeah. Was my oil not hot enough? Was my oil too hot? Did I have, we're still, from day to day, you can have 10 pieces of metal, all the same thing, and go to make 10 knives. One or two of them's never going to work out.
Wow. Okay.
And it just, you just don't know.
Yeah. It could be, so I come from printing, and there were days when it was like, if it was really raining hard outside, the paper would act on its own way. Yes. Like the ink wouldn't hold, or something would happen. It'd be like, this is out of our control.
Right.
Like, we can't do anything with this.
Right.
Like,
it happens.
So, yeah.
I mean, if it were real easy, you know, be 10 times more people in it. But there's a lot going into it. It's like you get a piece of metal, and let's say it's 1095.
Okay.
That's high carbon steel. You know, what does the 1, the 0, the 9, and the 5 mean? So it's like metallurging.
Yeah.
And I never did any metallurging. I grew up doing it with my grandfather and went through the trials and tribulations of unknown metals on trying to figure out what kind of metal it is by doing different things to it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. So when you first saw him making stuff with metal, this is a weird question, but this is a kid question too. Were you drawn closer or were you scared of it?
No, I was actually drawn closer.
Okay.
You know, I wanted to get as close as I can, you know, still nervous about getting too close.
Yeah.
And I guess one of the best things my grandfather ever done for me, he laid a piece of metal down. It was black.
Yeah.
He knowed I was going to grab it.
Yeah.
But it was still hot.
Yeah.
He let me do that.
Oh, yeah.
He let me burn myself.
Yeah.
That's education 101.
I did that with a cast iron skillet, I think, with my grandmother. I grabbed it. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And she was like, yeah, the whole thing gets hot.
Yeah, the whole thing. It's education you're getting, even letting you get hurt. It's education.
Yeah, never do that again. That's one of the best pieces of advice of when I was working at a print shop. I did something wrong, and the person who stripped up the film said, okay, you did that wrong. Do you remember doing it wrong? And I said, yeah. And she was like, how do you feel? I was like, not good. And she was like, will you ever do it again? I was like, no. Because now I always have it in the back of my head. Okay, don't do that.
Right.
And then move on. Right. Is that a hard thing kind of to teach people coming up in this? Or is there a lot of people that kind of want to rush into it or get frustrated?
Well, because of the TV show, you know, it's drawn a big interest in it. But some people start off with the most complicated knives or the most complicated materials, and they shouldn't do that.
Right.
And I don't like that aspect, you know.
Right.
If you learn the basics,
you'll
have the fundamentals to do anything.
Right.
But if you skip that and you go for making Damascus first time, never making a knife, I mean, it's going to be real frustrating for you. You're not going to succeed. Take your time.
Yeah.
Take your time, and it just builds some fundamental skills.
Yeah. In that, have you kind of come up with like a system of like, okay, here's like a 10-step process to be good at this? Like, these are the things you need to do in order that you kind of tell people as they come in and want to learn.
Yes. Whether it be the blacksmithing side, that's like we'll teach little fundamentals like taper, twist, things like that. They're not really making anything, but they're learning techniques.
Yeah.
And then I've had a guy come back and say, I can make that.
Yeah.
I know how they made that now.
Yeah.
They have a better understanding.
Yeah. And is some of it even like working with the tools and being like, this is why you do this. This is why you use this for this. You're learning the materials you're working with even on a tool level. Right. Not even the metal level.
Right. You know, every bladesmith or blacksmith will have a set of tongs or a hammer that seems to be their favorite.
Yeah.
It might be different with another guy, you know, but being comfortable manipulating metal, if you take your time, you'll understand what's going on. But the tools, that's like if you're working with really hot metal and tongs, your tongs will move.
Yeah.
And won't be gripping the metal as hard. So you got to keep tuning your tools as you're working with the metal. But the tool aspect, it's got to fit your hand, the hammer. The tongs got to feel comfortable in your hand. And if not, manipulate them to where they do.
With the TV show, were you able to take your own tools with you, or did you have to work with what they gave you?
We were allowed to take like three things on the forge floor.
Okay.
But now they did have everything there we needed.
Okay.
And we did have permission to where we could heat up their tongs and bend them or make new ones or cut the corners. We could do anything we wanted to.
Okay. Okay.
You know, they gave us free range because they want us, they set it up for us to fail.
Okay.
But they want us to succeed.
Right.
But they want to stress us out in the process. So they're really good on letting us do whatever we need to to accomplish the task in front of us.
Where's that show shot?
When I was there twice. It was in Brooklyn, downtown New York City.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And now they're in Stamford, Connecticut.
Okay.
Because they had to move to another place to have better air recirculation system and, help us smiths because it does get so hot. It was way too hot in New York.
And Brooklyn's getting very expensive.
And an old abandoned warehouse had no air conditioning, no nothing, and it was pretty tough on us.
Yeah. So how many people were on the first time you were on?
Every episode has 4 smiths.
Okay.
And we go head to head in making something out of we don't know what. They don't tell us.
Okay.
When they uncover that table the first time I was on the show, they laid 4 chainsaws. And they told us we had to take at least 2 different parts of the chainsaw and make a knife. And so, I mean, that's cool. Yeah, put me out there. Stress me out. I like the pressure, Let's go.
Even though it's competition, even though they want you to succeed, so were you and the other people participating? Would you all hang out like afterwards and like commune and talk, or was there anybody on the show that you knew from beforehand?
They wasn't nobody I ever knew beforehand.
Okay.
But, they pick us all 4 up together at the same motel, and we do hang out and eat lunch together. It's a good camaraderie. We try to really get to know each other and learn and help, and it's been so good for us.
It's the old adage, community over competition. Like this will come and go, but the friendship or the bond, I hate to use the term bond because I feel like I'm doing a dad pun when I say that, lasts a lot longer.
When that show first came out, they didn't know what they was creating.
Yeah.
They wanted, it's a $10,000 competition. They wanted us to not be nice to each other.
Yeah.
Like if one of us is going to the power hammer, cut him off. You go over there. You know, it's a competition.
Yeah.
And they encouraged us to do that kind of activity.
Yeah.
But as it went on, nobody who makes knives would fall in that category.
Yeah.
And now the show embraces that camaraderie, that brotherhood,
Yeah.
It's a task, yes.
Yeah.
It's hard, yes. It's a competition, yes. But I'll still stop what I'm doing to help another man that's struggling.
Yeah.
And they embrace that now.
Okay. I just imagine 6 producers standing to the side shaking their head.
Yep.
Like, we want them to kind of like kick each other or do something.
It was almost accidental what they created.
Yeah.
Because it originally was going to be making like kitchen knives. It was like a spin-off from a cooking show.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then it turned into something of its own.
Yeah.
Out of their control.
Yeah.
And Forged in Fire is born.
That's crazy.
How cool is that?
Yeah. So when you did the show, did all of a sudden the traffic here just go spike and go up, or did it kind of stay kind of steady?
It kind of stayed steady with me because I've been busy from day one.
Yeah.
I can't hardly track it, but I know I've benefited a lot from the show because I have a shop that's open to the public.
Right.
And every day people come in. Was anybody here on that show? Was anybody here on Forged in Fire? Y'all seen the owner here. And so it's good. I like what the show's done for the whole industry.
Yeah.
Like the people sell the handle material, the tools, the tongs.
Right.
It's been good for everybody.
Okay. I'm trying to think I'm curious, like what is the furthest away somebody's come to be on that show?
They was in New York, and we've had them from Alaska.
Okay.
Plumb across the whole United States. But most everybody, they had an episode like Britain, United States, one like that. So they've come across seas.
Okay. That's why I would be fascinated to see somebody from like Japan or somebody come on there who's worked with swords and stuff, the historic elements of that to come on and participate. I think that'd be neat.
I think the show's had some trouble, not really trouble, but they've invited a lot of smiths.
Yeah.
And they are a lot of smiths out there who has a huge name.
Yeah.
And will not dare go on that show. They're not going to put themselves in public eye like that because, during the filming of the whole show, we're not allowed to talk to the judges, associate with them, or anything to keep from any biased opinions.
Right.
But as soon as you're eliminated, they go out of their way to come to you and hug you and shake your hand.
That's awesome.
And show their appreciation of putting yourself in front of all of America.
Yeah.
To fail.
To fail.
That's cool, They know we can make knives.
That's a good way to put it, to fail.
They make it to where we almost can't. And so it makes it exciting.
Yeah.
They stress us out on purpose.
Yeah.
It's cool. I like that pressure.
That's awesome. The first time you were on, when you came back, did you change anything because of that experience?
No, I haven't changed anything from day one because I want to keep it a personal experience between me and my customers.
Okay.
After the first show, I didn't even try to take advantage of being on TV.
Right.
I just kind of I did it. I'm good. I'm gone.
Yeah.
But that was season 3.
Yeah.
Season 4 came around. They posted something online that said, every contestant that's ever been on the show that did not win, who would America like to see come back? And I got voted in from America as a fan favorite.
Awesome.
Then I started, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And so I started buying T-shirts with my picture and my company on them and doing autographs and hats and stuff like that. And it's been good for me.
That's awesome. Was that kind of shift for you? Did you have to get comfortable with that, or because you've been working with the public so long, it was just one extra step?
It kind of weirded me out at first.
Okay.
I wasn't, let's say, I was comfortable, but I was nervous. I wasn't used to people stopping me in Walmart and Kmart and say, I've seen you on TV. Can I get a picture? Can I get an autograph?
Yeah.
That was hard for me because I didn't feel like I deserved that.
Right.
But as it come around, I realized, these people like what I do.
Yeah.
And I made an impression with them on national TV, and now I embrace that.
Yeah.
But it did weird me out at first.
Now you go to Walmart, you're like, wait, nobody noticed me. What's going on, guys? Come on. The guy who kind of started this, is he still around? Is he still alive, or?
Yeah, who wanted this in this area? Yep. He's the last living family member.
Okay.
Who owned original property in this town, and he still owns all this in the last historical area in town. His name is Bob Benson.
Okay.
And I do give him credit for a lot of my success by allowing me to come here and do what I do.
And what did you tell him you were going to be on the show before it happened, or did you leave that to be a surprise? Oh, could you tell him?
Yeah, I could tell,
Okay.
But actually, his wife was one who computer friendlier than I am.
Yeah.
She got me on show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was a past contestant that we knew personally, so we just called him up and said, hey, what do we do to get on the show?
Yeah.
And he gave us the right email address.
Yeah.
And I let Misty Benson take charge. And she went through the whole process with me and got me on the show.
Oh, my God.
And then the second time, they just called me up and said, hey, you can be in New York in 3 days.
Oh.
I said, okay.
Sure. Yeah. That's awesome. When you're there and when you're filming something like that, is it super immersive to where that's pretty much all you're doing all the time, or they have everything organized to the minute to where you can't go and could you go and explore any while you were up there?
No, sir. Once they picked us up at the motel, before we got to where we was going to be, they actually asked for our cell phones and stuff.
Oh,
we couldn't have nothing.
Okay.
And we was there like 10 or 12 hours a day. They kept us in rooms together. We had a personal assistant.
Okay.
If we went to the bathroom, we all had to go bathroom. We could never be alone.
Okay.
Never ever be alone or out of that man's sight. We weren't allowed to be out of his sight.
Okay.
We weren't allowed to communicate with anybody else but him.
Yeah.
We went through him to communicate, like ordering lunch, drinks, or whatever.
Yeah.
But we was there 12, 13 hours a day for 3 straight days to film that 1 hour.
And you didn't feel like doing anything at the end of the day. You were beat, ready to crash.
Yeah, so we didn't get back to the motel till 9:30 at night. We just barely had time to, clean up and go to bed. Barely. And they's our next morning 7:30.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was tough. It was really, really tough for us.
We're like anytime I have to travel for work, I always budget in like a day before or a day after because I was like, I need some of me time to be able to go and see things.
Right.
Now it's in Stamford, Connecticut. Okay. Now, when that happened, like, did they bring in past people? This may not. Did they bring in people to kind of help organize that or make it better? Like, did some of the problems from the Brooklyn, was it you all that brought that up and be like, we need better ventilation?
Yeah, they take anything we've got to say to heart.
Okay.
Because they we're the ones who made the show famous.
Yeah.
And they really want our input. And they did when they went to Connecticut. It is a better facility.
Okay.
Now, if you look close on TV, if you've ever been a super fan, you can tell it's not the same location.
Okay.
But they made it look
exactly
just like it.
Okay.
But they did make it better for us Smiths. They really did.
Okay. Well, I feel like that's kind of wild that it feels like a lot of those shows, they treat you like a cog in the machine.
Right.
Whereas that one sounds like they're really embracing. And are you able to talk about what you're doing out here? Has that been made public?
The grudge matches?
Yeah,
we can talk about it.
Okay, go for it.
In September. This year, it is September 27th, 28th, and 29th. It's a Forged in Fire Forging Festival here in Pigeon Forge.
Yeah.
We will have between 25 to 50 Forged in Fire guys here for 3 straight days. It's free to the public.
Yeah.
We're going to give away 50 to 100 knives free to the public.
Yeah.
Come by, hang out with us.
Yeah.
Sit with us, get autographs, pictures. There'll be a lot of forging going on.
Okay. Is there a website or something associated with that to where people can find more information?
Yeah, you can log on to our website, or better yet, our Facebook page.
Yeah.
Iron Mountain Metalcraft.
Okay.
Facebook, and we'll keep you updated on which Forged in Fire stars are all coming.
Okay.
And we're going to be posting that starting June the 11th.
Okay.
We're going to start advertising and letting the public know who all's coming. So you can come and meet your favorite Forged in Fire star free here, Iron Mountain Metalcraft in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
We'll have to get our friend Virginia to come here and make something.
Miss Virginia and Ken Moody. Ken Moody owns Ken Moody Safaris in Africa. He's one of the sponsors.
Oh, okay.
To help
That's
us here.
awesome.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
And it's a great addition to have them on board with us to support us.
Yeah.
Really is.
Okay, now I'm going to go back. Is there, I'm sure there's tons, but is there anything you've gotten to a point with now that you wish you would have known earlier in starting on the business side, on the making the stuff side?
The business side is what I wasn't used to.
Right.
Now, making things I'm good at.
Right.
But learning how to deal with the public on a personal level, it can be a struggle sometimes, but I've been really good at it, really concentrated on the kids.
Right.
I love making memories. My motto here is forge a memory.
Yeah.
But starting a business, what I really struggled with and had to learn was how to interact with the public.
Okay.
That was a struggle for me. On a business level.
And I'm sure there are days it's still a struggle.
Yep, there's still days that's something anybody who deals with the public on a daily basis, it's learning always.
Yeah.
You're always learning and tweaking and trying to do better.
I worked at Taco Bell when I was in school, and the GM there said, I think every kid in high school should have to spend 1 semester working at fast food, a restaurant, something where they have to or deal with the public the entire time they're on duty.
Yes.
And he was like, I think that is something that would completely change everyone's attitude.
It'll make you a better person.
Yeah. When you're going somewhere that like you don't want to be that guy. Don't want to be that guy.
You don't want to be that guy. Because, it is what it is, dealing with the public. These people out there who will come in, they said they read all the books and seen the videos.
Yeah.
So they know more about it than we do.
Yeah.
But they never done it.
I do graphic design. I hear that all the time. It's like, can you just change the color and do that? And it's like, no.
It ain't that easy.
No. Okay. Well, thank you for doing this.
Cool. Thank y'all very much. Have a good day.